Did you know that the US Copyright Office just released a very detailed report on AI-generated images and copyrights? On January 29, 2025, they unveiled a 52-page document that explains their official stance. But don't worry, I am not going to go through all 52 pages. Instead, I will highlight the most important examples to give you a clear picture of what this means for creators like you. If you are using AI-generated images for your Amazon KDP books, whether for covers or interior pages like coloring books, this report is something you need to understand. It could directly impact the safety of your KDP account. Let's dive in. Before we start, I want to emphasize that in this video I will be sharing my thoughts and interpretations of the report, but just to clarify, my views might not be 100% accurate. These are just my personal opinions, so keep that in mind. If you are seeking legal advice, this video isn't for you. And I would love to hear what you think too, so make sure to leave a comment below. The report was based on a policy statement from March 2023, followed by webinars, listening sessions, and public input. In August, the Copyright Office formally asked for feedback, receiving over 10,000 responses from various industries and countries, along with additional research to shape its findings. Based on copyright law analysis and public feedback, the office presents these conclusions and recommendations. To save your time, I won't read each one out loud. If you are interested, feel free to pause the video and go through them yourself. I would rather focus on the examples in this document, as I believe they will help you better understand the Copyright Office's approach for three kinds of human contribution to AI-generated outputs. First, prompts that instruct an AI system to generate an output. Second, expressive inputs that can be perceived in AI-generated outputs. Third, modifications or arrangements of AI-generated outputs. Let's start with the prompts. Since the current generally available technology doesn't provide sufficient human control, the office concludes that prompts alone cannot make users of an AI system the authors of the outputs. Prompts act as instructions that communicate ideas not eligible for protection. Even though detailed prompts may include the user's intended creative elements, they currently don't control how the AI processes them to produce the outputs. So, for example, the office used Google's generative AI chatbot Gemini to create this image using a specific prompt. The prompt describes things like the subject of the image, the setting, the style, and where the main subject should be placed. The results reflect some of these details, like a cat with glasses smoking a pipe, but not others like a detailed wooden background. Where the prompt didn't provide instructions, the AI filled in the blanks. For instance, it didn't specify the cat's breed, color, size, or pose, nor did it mention anything about its facial features or expressions or what it should wear under the robe. And interestingly, the prompt didn't suggest that a human hand should be holding the newspaper, but the AI added that anyway. Some of you may claim that repeatedly revising prompts provides a valid reason to claim copyright in the outputs, but this isn't the case. The effort put into revising prompts is irrelevant because copyright protects original authorship, not the amount of work involved. And revising prompts just generates more outputs without giving the user more control over the process. So here's what I understand from this. Again, this is just my interpretation and it might not be 100% accurate. Essentially, simply writing prompts isn't usually enough to claim copyright for an image. So you can't just go to tools like Midjourney, Leonardo or any others, give them a prompt, get an image back, and claim it as your own for copyright. They are likely going to say no to that. But hold on, the second example about expressive inputs will make things a bit more complicated. In this example, the artist Chris Kashtanova, who I mentioned in one of my previous videos about her copyright attempts, created an original artwork by hand. She drew a pen illustration featuring a half face with some flowers coming out of it, then used this drawing as input along with the prompt you see here. The AI system then generated this output. Now, based on this, you might think the output is copyrightable because a lot of it came from the human input, with the AI acting as just a tool. However, the office notes that the drawing itself is a copyrightable work, and the expressive elements are clearly visible in the outputs, such as the outline of the mask, the positioning of facial features, and the arrangements of the flowers. Basically, everything in the original drawing that's reflected in the output is copyrightable. But here's the interesting part. The applicant disclaimed any non-human expression appearing in the final work, meaning things like the realistic 3D effect of the nose, lips, rosebuds, and the lighting and shadows in the background. After reviewing this, the office registered the work with a note saying, registration limited to unaltered human pictorial authorship that is clearly perceptible in the deposit and separable from the non-human expression that is excluded from the claim. To me, this is really confusing. They are saying that the elements from the original image in the new one are covered by copyright, but the realistic nose, mouth, flowers, and other things generated by the AI aren't. So let's check also the last example about modifying or arranging AI-generated content. A fairly common scenario in registration applications is the combination of human-authored text with AI-generated images. In one early case, as I discussed in one of my copyright-related videos, the office determined that the selection and arrangement of AI-generated images alongside human-authored text in Chris Kashtanovas comic book Zarya of the Dawn were protectable as a compilation. Multiple similar registrations have been made since then. In addition to this, they also have another example in this document about modifying or arranging AI-generated content. As I showed in one of my videos about creating a children's book using Midjourney AI, Midjourney offers what it calls vary region and remix prompting, which allow users to select and regenerate regions of an image with a modified prompt. Alright, so here's an example straight from Midjourney's website that shows how you can generate an image, upscale it, use the freehand editing tool to select a specific region, generate new candidate images with a prompt, upscale it again, and keep modifying it by repeating the process. For instance, you could add a balloon here or place a castle there. Basically, you start with an AI-generated image, highlight an area, and tell the AI what you want to appear in that spot. Now here's what the Copyright Office says about this. Unlike prompts alone, these tools can enable the user to control the selection and placement of individual creative elements. Whether such modifications rise to the minimum standard of originality required under Feist will depend on a case-by-case determination. In those cases where they do, the output should be copyrightable. It also adds that the inclusion of elements of AI-generated content in a larger human-authored work does not affect the copyrightability of a larger human-authored work as a whole. So, for example, a film that uses AI-generated special effects or background artwork is still copyrightable as a whole, even if those AI-generated elements by themselves are not. So, looking at these three examples, here's what I take from it. Copyright law has always adapted to new technology and allows for case-by-case decisions on whether AI-generated content includes enough human input to qualify for protection. As we saw in the last two examples, many cases will allow for copyright, either fully or partially, when AI is used as a tool and a human has control over the expressive elements. However, simply writing prompts alone doesn't seem to meet those standards at this point. I know many of you are wondering whether it's safe to use AI-generated images in your Amazon KDP books, whether for covers or interior pages like coloring books after this Copyright Office documents. Well, this topic is still controversial, with many gray areas. If you check Amazon's content guidelines, they require you to disclose AI-generated content when publishing a new book or updating an existing one. This suggests that they are not entirely against AI-generated content. However, they also make it clear that you are responsible for ensuring all AI-generated or AI-assisted content complies with intellectual property laws. During the publishing process, you must confirm that you own the copyright and have the necessary publishing rights. In short, Amazon protects itself by shifting the responsibility onto you, which makes sense from their perspective. First, if you are using AI-generated content in your KDP books, you should be completely transparent with Amazon. Both AI-generated text and images are highly detectable with various tools, and there is no doubt that Amazon has its own methods to identify them. Second, always check the content rights section in the terms of service of the AI tool you are using, as commercial rights can vary from one platform to another. Since the Copyright Office states that, based on the functioning of current generally available technology, prompts do not alone provide sufficient control, using images solely created by simply writing prompts for covers or interior pages doesn't seem entirely safe to me. However, as I said before, this is just my personal opinion and may not be 100% accurate. That being said, I am not sure whether Amazon can distinguish between images created purely through text prompts and those that involve expressive input, modifications, or arrangements. If a dispute arises, you may need to provide proof of your creative involvement, so it's a good idea to document and save your process when generating AI images. When I think about a coloring book made with AI-generated images created solely by writing prompts, I wonder if it would receive copyright protection as a compilation, like Chris Kashtanovas' comic book. Honestly, I'm not sure because many coloring books like Bold and Easy coloring books contain little to no text. If the images were generated purely from prompts without any expressive input, modification, or arrangement, the human contribution would be minimal. That's why I personally prefer to add expressive input, modify or arrange AI-generated content to strengthen a copyright claim in case of a dispute. However, as the document states, whether human contributions to AI-generated works qualify as authorship is determined on a case-by-case basis. So this remains a gray area. I would love to hear your thoughts. Do you think it's safe to use AI-generated images in your KDP books? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next one.